So are you ready for technology and how it can transform your business? I know it might be scary, but there is a formula for creating your brand, creating visibility and influence. And that starts with embracing technology. And my next guest on La Dolce Vita, the formula for fabulous living. This is a special series called My Female Thought Leader Lounge, where we're going to be talking about embracing technology, how using technology will awaken the leadership quality within you, and really, taking your business to the next level, what you need to do in order to get there. So stay tuned.
Frankie Lee, dimmi, quale senso della vita?
The meaning of life is to live la dolce vita, which is the formula for fabulous living.
Hi, my name is Heather Picken, and welcome to the La Dolce Vita Show, the formula for fabulous living. I'm the catalyst in helping you to be more confident, create your dream business, and attract elite clients and live a fabulous life. Here's Heather helping you to upgrade your life to
Fabulous. Upgrade your life to fabulous. Right, Frankie? You're fabulous.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of La Dolce Vita, the formula for fabulous living. And this is a special edition of my series, the Female Thought Leader Virtual Lounge. And I've gathered women all around the world to talk about change, talking about technology, and how to best prepare yourself in being a leader in your business and in the world. And I brought on one of my most fabulous experts, Diane Najam. So Diane, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Well, thank you, Heather. I really enjoy our conversation. So this is a great venue for us to talk even to the public now about leadership and women in technology.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we jump into that conversation, if you can tell a little bit about people that are watching this either on YouTube or iTunes or listening on iTunes, a little bit about what you do in your work.
Well, I am a founder and a CEO of a tech startup called PhotoPad for Business. We make design simple for small, medium businesses to create their social media campaigns and share it out to their social media channels. Prior to that, I was a social worker, and I worked 20 years in the field when I took the leap to become an entrepreneur.
Wow.
Yeah,
And that's pretty ambitious because, you think about, taking the leap and breaking through the challenges. It's not easy. Anyone that says being an entrepreneur is a piece of cake, they're lying.
Right. Oh my goodness. I think it's even harder than you can ever anticipate to be an entrepreneur and to start your own company, especially when you come from such a different background. But it's really cool, to take that leap and grow and evolve, and especially evolve in this technology world that we're in today. And from when I started to the present day of how that's even evolved over the years.
I love that. And let's talk about technology, because technology obviously isn't going anywhere, being in the online world, and we're connected, and we are actually advancing in so many ways and getting very connected with people and getting smarter as a result of technology. But on the flip side, what I find is that a lot of female entrepreneurs might feel overwhelmed, confused. How do I really utilize this so that I can stand out in my business and not shrink? Because that's the key. You don't want to shrink. You want to shine in your business. You want to become a leader and do things that are inspiring and using technology. So I was wondering if you could speak about that and what your philosophy is on that.
Well, I think there's a couple different things. One is it's a mindset. So if you're going to enter into this arena of being an entrepreneur and going off on your own, whether you're a tech platform or not, you're going to need to use technology to really show yourself. And you need to be present. You need to show up and be present and have the mindset that you should be there. You shouldn't shrink back. You're no different than anybody else. And in today's time, it's even better than it was before, because the talk of women leaving corporate jobs to lead has been priority in the news and among many of the CEOs of major corporations to open those doors for women. In addition, women are helping women to open those doors, which is a change, which is a shift. And it's been a mindset that we're not competitive with each other. We need to help each other. And so the mindset has changed in two ways: other women surrounding us, and then also our own mindset, our own confidence level, which needs to come from your inner confidence and really shine through. And you then use social media to really showcase your authentic self, because you're with people now morning to night. You're posting on all the social media channels what you're doing on one to what you're doing professionally on another, and all of them have to be consistent, and all of them have to show yourself as a leader. There's no shrinking anymore, and there's no holding back. You need to be present. So when you go to whatever meeting you're going to, you sit at the head of the table. That is my theory, my mantra. We don't go in and ask, we go in and we sit. And that's a huge mind shift from where we were even 5 years ago.
Yeah, I love that. And, you know, we both actually live in the same city. So we both live in Seattle, and there is a lot of things going on with the tech space. We've got Google and Amazon and Microsoft and Expedia. So when you're looking at companies like that, how do you see yourself kind of fit in as it relates to keeping up with technology, being a leader, and also empowering other women in their businesses?
Well, the one thing I tell people is there has been a shift within the corporation. It's slow, but it is happening. And that's the really good thing. The CEOs are stepping out and saying, some of them are saying, I don't know exactly how to do this, but I know we need to do it. We know it's the right thing to do, and we're going to open those doors. So women should embrace that when they enter. They also, to me, I've also in my presentations have talked to women about getting a mentor and somebody to guide them through the stages, like especially if they're going to work in corporate world, get somebody outside the corporation as well, so that they can work through what they need to rise and go to the top. But I think those doors are opening. It's slowly opening, but they are. The angel investors, like you said, we're in Seattle. Many of the angels investors have spoken out. They are only funding companies that have at least one female founder. So it's encouraging the unity, not only of women, but for men to look at who they can partner with that are women. And I think that was a huge statement that was made. And in addition, just statistically, they're saying that I think it was over 9 million new jobs that are formed between now and 2020. Over half will be female founded. And I think that is telling in itself that women know it, they're gaining that confidence, they're moving forward, and they're not going to be held back any longer.
I love that, you know, because I look at some of the challenges that corporations are having, you know, like Uber, like the CEO stepping down and realizing, wait a minute, we've got to change, we've got to do something that's different. And I feel that out of every frustration and every so-called bad thing, it actually is a blessing to us. I'm looking at it specifically in the Uber context, is that we are getting this bigger platform. We are getting a bigger share of the pie, and we have to have that voice. You know, it's those women that are leaders, and they're using their voice to say, wait a minute, we're not going to put up with this anymore. Just like a woman that blogged about her experience on Uber, working for Uber, and it just, you know, it sent fireworks off, you know, within the organization.
Right. And, you know, that is a sad story in a way, but you're right. Out of it came changes. The investors to others that surrounded the CEO are saying, step down. We can't even accept this. And the fact that he ignored it just shows you that we have to continue to fight and step up and be present and use whatever channels we need to get the word out. If you can imagine, even 5 years ago, we didn't have that social media blogging to get that out, to make it aware to the public that this was happening. that used to be happen behind closed doors, and it was always kept a secret. So that to me was a really huge turn of events. They have that CEO step down, but it's a sad state at the same time that he didn't value women in his company and didn't make any actions to make changes. But you know what it did for all the other corporations is really look at that and not brush it under the rug anymore, because that's not acceptable. We're not going to let it be acceptable. But you know, it's really sad in a way too, is I'm going to go off a little bit on soapboxes, just thinking back to the days of Gloria Steinem and how we really haven't come very far. As much as when I started this, we have come far, but just that from, what was it, the 60s to now is almost the same scenario. But the difference is, though true enough, is there was a change, but it took social media, technology. So that's some of the changes that technology is offering us as women to have our voice heard to massive groups of people. And I think that's a really cool thing that's going on too. So there's a number of movements that are happening, you know, and you just got to keep moving forward.
Absolutely. I love you say you like creating a movement. I feel that everyone, even if you're a solo entrepreneur, you're growing your business, no matter how big it is, you can, as one person, create a message. You know, you have a vision, create a message and a movement that will impact change, that will impact the world. But yet I find a lot of women entrepreneurs might say, well, who am I to do that? So what would you say to women out there that say, you know, I've got this vision, I've got this mission, I'm starting my business, but I feel stuck because I keep thinking, you know, who am I? Who am I to do that?
Well, I would just say to them, you are the best person in the world to make that change for all of us as women, and that they should continue to move forward, that they are no different than the man standing next to them. And it would be really ideal if one day we are viewed as not as a gender, but just as an individual. And I think that's the new movement too, is not looking at the differences. So that that's who she is. She's making a difference for another woman. You know, I often talk about this as that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for some women who opened the doors for me in the technology. I was new to the whole world 5 years ago when I first started my first product, a Facebook app. And it was the women who gave me the confidence that, yeah, that's who I am. I can join them. You know, this movement of getting female founders and helping them. And so I just say to them, just pull your bootstraps up and move forward, because we need that. We need people to keep moving forward with us.
I love that. And also in that equation, you know, talk about the formula. What is the formula for success? What is the formula for being a leader? And I know part of that is failing, and people get, particularly women, they get paralyzed if something doesn't work out 100%. And it's those people that really, you know, they work the formula. Okay, this doesn't work, I'm going to try something next. But yet people, they get trapped in a box thinking, because we live in a society that says, hey, if you're failing, that's it. You know, we've created the stigma on, you know, the word failure, but it's really just result. Because to me, in my mind, you only fail if you're quitting, or maybe you're pivoting, right? So can you speak to the idea of failure and some of the challenges that you've had to endure, you know, building your company?
Yeah. You know what? That's a really good question, because I have some issues with people who make jokes about, oh yeah, I failed. It is truly very hard when you're facing failure, when you've taken this money and you invested in your business and you're not making it. But I speak to it that it's very hard, but you have to go through that grieving. And then when you come out of it, it's the lessons that you learned. And then you move forward. You know, that's what, like you said, you need to pivot. You need to look at what angle, how can you change this? Your mind will start working in different ways than you ever imagined. And I usually tell people when they're in failure mode is not look at it like I'm a failure, but look at it as my business is failing. What do I need to do? And before they even get there, is they need to take some days off. They need to do something to offer clarity. get outside the box. And then I loved Elena Danio from Concur. Yeah, it was Concur. She said that when she was failing, it was like so bad. I think her stock went down to, and I might be misquoting her, but 1 cent. It was like really low. And she went in. It's either she could have taken it as a failure, but instead she went into a room for a weekend loaded with the smartest people in the world. And they came out with a new pivot. And then, Concur has moved up on the charts like out of this world. But if she didn't do that, it would have been closed doors if she had taken that mindset. So everything along the way is a mindset. And I often tell people too, it's like climbing a mountain. And every time I conquer that mountain, I get to base camp and I look up and I think, I can't do it. It's to just keep going and not worry about that failure. But you're going to inevitably fail, because if you haven't done it before, and even if you have, and even the brightest person, a lot of these CEOs talk about that early on and how they had a pivot, or they almost lost the company, or they made a really bad decision. So if you think of it that way, that they too had that experience, then we're not so bad off as startups, and you have to. People start somewhere. Everybody has. And the other mindset is, many of them that have been successful, it's taken at least 10 years to get there. But they always look like this big overnight success. And that's kind of a joke in the startup world, because we're like, oh yeah, they made it, but it's been 10 years, but it's an overnight. And that helps me step back. Like, I'm okay. It's our second year, but I don't have to be where they are after 10,
Right. No, it's so true. I forget who said the quote, like, overnight success usually takes 25 years,
Yeah. It's very rare that the unicorn is out there where they get it to be. And I really should find out what the statistics of that is, because I think it put it in perspective. So our theme has been totally about mindset. And when people talk about that, really they need to dig deeper, because it's our own inner critic that we need to let go of and seek the help we need to move forward.
Absolutely. You'd mentioned getting a mentor coach, and I could not agree with you more, because it's so important when people are working in their business and they have a so-called failure. Yeah. If they're not learning or willing to learn from that, then what happens is they could stop their business and they never fulfill their purpose and mission. Like, for example, I had a client just recently, she thought she blew a really big deal and she's freaking out. And I could tell in her mind, as she was writing back in an email, that she was second guessing and doubting herself. And I told her, I'm like, you can't allow this one event to make or break your business. And I said, well, here's what I recommend. Number one, I was giving her some advice on how to shift her mindset, and then go back to the person and say something to pique their interest so that they could get another phone call, and it happened. But it would have been so easy if she didn't have, someone like me to just drop the ball and then say, oh, great, because what happens is that if, you have that, in your head saying, well, this is not going to work, or I've done this and I've done this before and it's just not going to make sense, or I could never be successful, then you start creating a belief that is not serving you. So do you have some kind of ritual that you go through? Like, let's just say you're feeling like, I'm having a bad day, because not every day is perfect. I'm not positive every day. Like, I don't believe in, I have to be positive. No, sometimes I'm really negative, but I learn to balance my emotions. So what do you do when you get yourself into those situations that maybe you're beating yourself up and you just have one of those days? Like, what do you do?
That's when it's really important to do some self-care. I like to run. Running gives me clarity a lot, because I don't know, I have that negative going on and I'm running it off, and I start getting focused and staying focused towards the end of my runs, and then something will come out of it. Meditation is another good way, is to let go of your negativity. And also maybe even like yourself, getting a coach like yourself, who helps with leadership and with businesses, or a life coach. Sometimes, when I talked to one of the bigger CEOs, that person had 5 different coaches. And I was kind of shocked. I thought, what's wrong with them? And, but it was a big lesson for me, because sometimes they're not always there necessarily at the same time, but sometimes when you're running a company, you might need that personal coach.
Yes.
because we do have patterns, men or women. That's what I'm saying. So this is not about gender anymore. And that's what women need to realize is it's not about gender, but we do need to fight to get in the front line, but just by showing up. But also a coach that maybe can help you with a problem in your business. Maybe like you said, you're failing and you've tried to seek everything you possibly can do. Maybe you want to hire somebody for a period of time for a specific reason to help you through it. Or maybe you take on a mentor who can help you
Yes.
an area. So sometimes you have to have all these people in your life, and then you have to have a group of entrepreneurs that are your friends, who are your positive group that you can go to, and because we all have those days that help lift you up, and then leave anybody that's negative, I always say, in the basement, because they're the people that want to hold you down. And that happens to any one of us.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Those are some really good tips. And, the self-care. I know for me personally, it's going to the gym, lifting, and playing with my little chihuahua.
And wait, I forgot one more thing is punching a punching bag too.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
And kickboxing.
Oh, yeah. No, that's great. A great release, for sure.
Like
sometimes for me too, if I'm like on a beach or just by water, I find water really calming and soothing.
I do too.
And just sitting there or being like in a coffee shop, just journaling or reading. Cause I always say, like, for me personally, like if I am in that zone where I'm like, wow, I'm really feeling kind of stuck. What I do is I leave my house and I go to a coffee shop. Because I love that. And then I start journaling, and I've come up with some amazing solutions just getting into, a different energy and different space. And some of the things, this is really interesting. So when I'm working with clients, one of the things that I do, like, let's just say if they quote unquote lost the sale, I work on a really interesting level because we never lose anything. It just transforms in a different form. And once they find it in their mind, I have a tool where I go in there, they see it in a different form. And then what happens is something else shows up, like a new opportunity. But I think we get so in our own way that we're not willing to let go and look for new ideas and opportunities.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. And that's the great thing about having a coach to help you through that and getting you to see outside the box.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, even, I don't know if you've read the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller, but he has a really interesting statistic that says 76.7% of people that get someone to hold them accountable are more likely to achieve their goals. So what does that tell you? It's like when you're hiring a coach or a mentor, you've got a goal, you're more likely to achieve it. Right. And you've got to flip your mindset. Instead of a cost, you've got to look at investing in yourself, accelerated, a way that you can accelerate your goals and then have someone hold you accountable. So, like, to me, that's what a leader is. You invest in your inspiration, you do whatever it takes, knowing that it's not perfect. It's not a linear journey, right? And you got to surround yourself with people. I want to talk about what you were saying, with surrounding yourself around entrepreneurs or people, because they say, you are the sum of the 5 people that you hang around the most. And I've noticed this, Diane, I don't know if you've noticed in your own circle, but when I started hanging around people that were more successful than me, that were really like extraordinary, my income, went up and opportunities just came out of the blue. And so when you're hanging around your broke friends, the naysayers, the people that don't support you, don't get you, it drags you down. So what are your thoughts on that?
No, absolutely. As you were speaking, I was thinking about these quotes I've seen, and I use them a lot, is, the death of an entrepreneur is isolation, because you're in your head. How can you possibly grow if you're in your own head? Even if you think you're brilliant and you have the most confidence, you can't possibly think outside the box if you're in your own head. And then the second thing is, you just said about the naysayers, if you're hanging around the coffee shop, with the naysayers and the people who don't have jobs, well, that's why they're there. They talk about those things. You need to soar with the eagles, the people who are out there flying high to elevate you. And I like surrounding myself by people who've been there, done it, who have been super successful, that have sold companies, because every time I'm around them, they say something that just triggers something that was growth, that elevates you to another level. And I just think that's really important. And I think also is reading books. That has been huge help in getting outside your head. Not only self-help books, motivational books, but books from other CEOs who's been through it in their journey. It's so funny. I'm like, aha, yes, I'm going through that right now. And you're going to find that when you start getting triggered like that, you're going to use those tips we just put out, like, I need to go do meditation, or I need to take a day off, or I need to call my mentor, or I need to, I better hire a coach right now because that's what I need. It's going to trigger you to take action. And I think that is what's going to be very important for growth for anybody to move forward in their company. And I remember, and there's things that change too as women, as we become leaders. Brad Tipton from Alaska Airlines had said, it was so lonely after I moved up to the CEO level, because I used to have, when you're at the level below, you used to have all your friends, hang on the cooler. And sometimes you do complain, sometimes you do grow, and sometimes you just talk about fun things that you did with the family. But when you are at the top, you can't relate to the people on those levels because you can't do that. You're the leader. So sometimes it's hard if you don't bring your circles around you, because otherwise you're going to be very lonely. And I thought that was a really good point he had made, and it just identified well with me, that I felt I understood that exactly. And it was good to hear it from somebody at his level. Because
I love that.
A lot of friends, you lose a lot of friends, and even people you may have started out with, because, for a number of reasons, but you have to move on.
It's so true. I've witnessed that in my life, and I'm okay with it because, again, when you're a leader, you have a mission and purpose. You've got to surround yourself with the right kind of people, and those energy drains will, it's actually a disservice for you, a disservice to you and to the transformation that you as a leader want to put out there in the world. So I love what you're saying. I love this conversation, being a thought leader. Yes, we're females, but we're thought leaders. We're taking it to the next level, empowering women to do extraordinary things, not holding yourself back. So before we leave, Diane, where can people learn more about you?
Well, they can go to photopad.co, which is my product, and they can check it out. And I'm on LinkedIn, Diane Najum, and I would love for them to connect with me there.
Great. And if you're listening to iTunes, or if you're over on my site, heatherpicken.com, you can, we have the links there. So you can just click on there, connect with Diane. And, that's the thing, you are the sum of the people that you hang around. You better find people that inspire you, that are doing great things, just like Diane. So Diane, thank you so much for being my guest.
I appreciate it. I love being here. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. And my final words for closing this out: I am a woman on a mission. I've got a mission, purpose, and vision, and that is being the catalyst in helping women entrepreneurs and women all over the world to own their power in all 7 areas, particularly business. And how you can help is just rate, review, and subscribe in iTunes, or if you're on YouTube, click on what I say, that Pavlov's bell, because that notifies you of the next episode. Until next time, this is Heather Picken with La Dolce Vita, the formula for fabulous living. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
So if you found this show to be fabulous, please share with your fabulous friends, rate, review, and subscribe on YouTube and iTunes. And I'll make sure I take a beatbox lesson, right? Or give my little chihuahua a bone. That's me. Fabulous.